All right. What is up, everybody? Damn, we're back. Woo! I don't know if I like it. What's up, Frozen? What's up, Michael? What's up, Can? What's up, Peanut? JMO? What's up, guys? Um, Hope you're all doing well. I mean, 2 weeks off. Like that, not even 2 weeks. Well, I think it was 2 weeks, right? I feel, I feel like a new man, mentally and physically, especially the last one because I mean, the pizza was so good, man. The pizza was good, but a bit too good. The trip was great, man. Um, I mean, I went away, and and we're kind of yeah, it's not really looking too good, is it? But there's going to be. I think we're getting close. Like, I think honestly, um, I'm still easing into the charts, obviously, but I think it's starting to, this is not the time to become overly bearish, in my opinion. Getting pretty close. What's up, Hawk? Hope you're doing well, man. What's up, Rayso? Bitcoin Girly, what is up? Daytona, appreciate you, bro. Let's give it a minute or two and then we're kicking it off. Thank you, Vertical. Thank you. I mean, it was good. Like, we had a beautiful spot in Italy. Not too many tourists around it. It was amazing, bro. Really amazing. Like, a good time with the kids as well. What's up, Jack? Good to see you, man. We had perfect pizzas. Like, it was, the funny part, like, we were near, I don't know if I pronounce this right, but we were close to Fossombrone. I don't know how to pronounce it, but basically a bit in the middle of Italy. So we were basically the only tourists there, to be honest. Like, there was a lot of local shops, local bakeries, stuff like that. So, we went out for dinner with 4 people. Like, it cost me 50 euros. Like, insane, bro. The weather was banging. It was 30 degrees max, between 25 and 30 degrees. And no rain, just good weather. The mosquitoes were killing me, though. Like, that was insane. But besides that, it was great. But let me get a sip of my tea. And let's get it cracking. It's good to see that everybody's with us today. For the people within Discord, normal streaming schedule resumes tomorrow morning again, where I will be going live at the same time as always. I will be updating the event section in that. So basically going live every day again. So with that being said, this stream is sponsored by Bybit. If you want to sign up, get trading bonuses, get free access to the indicators and whatnot, you can use the link in the description below or make an account on our website where you will find a step-by-step plan on how you can connect everything. So big shout out to Bybit for making that possible. Now, if you're not able to trade on Bybit, you can also do that on Blowfin. The description is in the website. The only thing that you need to be doing is make an account. So with that being said, let's take a look at the markets. Now, it's been a while, so bear with me. But I think, we've got some real quality trades coming up. So first things first. Today it is the last day of the month. Now that means tomorrow we will have new previous month value. That's going to be great because that means that new previous month value area low or value area high for that matter will become our bearish or bullish line in the sand. Impact for news, I'm not going to be writing it down all together, right? Because we've got a bunch this week. I'd say, is there a particular really important one? I don't know, feels like Thursday might be a big day. Friday as well in the week, but we'll see, right? I will be trading at the levels nonetheless. Now, going back to the prep brings me straight towards TPO. Let's open up CR chart here. For those of you who are new to the streams, right here, let's see if I can still find the buttons and shortcuts. So right here, we've got like a regular daily profile. We've got weekly profiles. We have got monthly profiles. And then right here, we've got daily profiles, but we're using this layout as a way to form composite. So you will see a composite there, you will see a composite here, an older composite there. So I just like to have 2 windows available because if I'm merging days together, I want to be able to see, what's happening here as a single day, and I want to be aware of what it looks like as a composite. Now, first things first, what do we have? in my opinion, the most important chart here is going to be the weekly. So let's open up the weekly time frame. Let's zoom a bit out right here. And then let's undo this. Undo all merges within this profile. And to me, this is looking, it's not looking too good here because we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks of overlapping value on a weekly chart. We then broke lower. Let's expand this profile, right? We broke below this weekly composite. We had one bearish retest for a move towards the poor lows right here. Then we had another throwback here, which this was a perfect shorting opportunity because we had the 30-day rolling VWAP here as well. The moment we start to lose that previous week value, like that's when we're getting into shorts, right? And that's when you capture this entire leg lower. So honestly, like if you wasn't really trading all of this, like this was a really clean shorting opportunity for that move lower. I'm pretty gutted that I wasn't behind the desk at that time because this is basically what we tend to see, right? We form a huge composite 5 weeks, we break below, everybody gets super bullish, right, on this leg higher, thin move upwards, and then we start to tackle it lower, break down, and then we target, this single print here and maybe even lower. But 5 weeks we formed that and we broke below. So let's write that down. Formed a, I need to get used to typing. So if I, have a lot of typos, my bad. We formed a 5 week composite value as a distribution. We accepted below and had a backside retest. See, I can't type. Retest followed by a rejection. This feels so weird. Followed by rejection for continuation lower into previous established value, which was what was the previously established value? Well, let's undo this. Let's make sure that we have it all on the screen. So this was the 5 week composite. One of the laws of market dynamics, right, is whenever we have a composite or a previous value, once we get a break from value, doesn't really matter if it's towards the downside or towards the upside, but the next leg to destination is going to be previously a previously established value. Well, in this case, it's the 7 week composite, because if I were to undo this, undo all merges within this profile, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks of overlapping value. So it is no surprise that if we're getting everything here again like that, let's expand this week as well so we can get the total picture. We broke away from a 5 week composite. Backside retest, bearish. Where do we target? We target the full rotation lower into that 7 week value area high. Look at that interaction, super clean. And it's no surprise that we're currently trying to find a low here. Do I think that this is the actual low? I'm unsure of that right now, mainly due to the fact that we have a poor low there. But I do think that we're getting pretty close, okay? So there's that. Another thing that I want to point out here is that, let's get this back in, and I want to merge all of these. Let's merge that because there's a naked point of control here on the weekly that I want you guys to be aware of, because I think that will be a sticky point as it is slightly below this poor low. Let's merge. The yearly VWAP is around 90, 95-ish. I think it's higher, but I will show you guys that in a bit. So there's a weekly 7 week naked point of control at 105.5. I want to be aware of that as well. I think that's going to be an important price point. Previously established value, which was the 7 week value area high. We have poor lows on the weekly, naked weekly, no, 7 week naked point of control at 105.5. And then another thing that I want you to point out here, which is basically, I'm seeing, and that's the part, right? I'm seeing like a large amount of threads on Twitter about why it was breaking down, why, and to be honest, we shouldn't really overcomplicate things. Where, for example, right here, this is that previous week value, right? Right here, previous week value. This is basically just a small bit of, how simple things can be. We open up the week within value. We then accept below, right? This right here is a shorting opportunity, invalidation above the high towards the low. That's your profit taking, right? Because this is what we refer to as time and space. Do you guys see that? This is the gap that I tend to refer towards almost all the time, like a nice little gap here. Don't get cute with your stops. Put it above this high, right? And then everything here, when there's no real time and space back within value, that's a shorting opportunity. For example, right here, is this time and space, like this tiny ass gap? No, it's not. I need to see a bigger, like half a circle like that. So this shorting opportunity for another rotation lower. Same goes for this. Do you guys see that spike upwards? Let me just show you that on a daily profile. So that's the weekly done. Daily profile, I think it was here. Yeah, it was here. So let me just open up this chart. Open up the composites. Undo. I'll merge within profile. So if I was trading this today, Sunday, Saturday, on Friday, right? On Friday, you wake up and you look at the past and you see that we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 days of overlapping value. So this is a 4-day composite. Right click, merge, right click, merge. 4-day composite, value area high, 4-day composite, value area low. The market opens up within value. It then slices through the composite value area low. What do we have here? Again, time and space. Before a retest. Big rejection at the 4-day composite value area low. That's your shorting opportunity. Invalidation above the high. We target previous value, you know, this low. We got a poor low there as another take profit, right? So it doesn't have to be that hard, right? So just a time and space below a contextual level, and that's when we take the trades. So with that being said, do we have anything else here on TPO? I'd argue that we have covered the majority of the important takeaway here, because we have accepted. Let me just reset all of this in on column. Let's get rid of this because we don't really need it. On the weekly, we have accepted below the 5-week distribution. We had a beautiful retest to get short. I didn't get short because I wasn't able to trade there. The connection was shit. Then we saw continuation lower into previous value, which is a 7-week composite. And now we're kind of hovering here. We've got the previous quarter value high there. I will show you guys that in a bit. And we have a poor low. So essentially, we are pinched between 116 and, you know, roughly 108, right? This is the range that we're trading within. Do we have that all here? So yeah, we've got that. We've got here poor lows on the weekly, 7-week naked point control, and that's a wrap. Now, is that clear so far for everybody here based on TPO? Let me quickly catch up on the chat. Yearly value area high is going to be an important price point for sure. That's what we're going to be covering right now. Let's see, on the same page. It's good to hear. Yearly VWAP is a bit higher, bro. Yearly VWAP is 98, so a bit higher. My vacation was great, bro. Thank you for that. Question for you about the recent composite. We had a weekly composite very low, 115. Daily composite very low, 116. How do you execute when prices between those? I'll take the highest point. So in this case, if I'm looking for shorts, I'll take a look at 116 because that's a bit higher. Because otherwise, let me just show you what I mean. Because if, for example, this is the composite value area on the daily, and this is what we are referring to. Let me just quickly see. A weekly composite value low there. Let's say that we're accepting back within, you're getting bullish against a daily composite, right? So that's why I tend to pick the one furthest away if it's not like a huge difference, all right? Yeah, I do keep in mind that we've got a CME gap as well. Okay, if that's it, you know, everything is clear, perfect. Then we're going to be moving towards VWAP. So we're starting off on the yearly. Again, for those of you who are new to the channel, we've got yearly VWAP, we've got the quarterly VWAP, we've got the monthly VWAP, and then we've got the weekly VWAP with its standard deviations, right? Standard deviation 1, standard deviation -1, right? And that goes for the yearly, quarterly, monthly, etc., etc. First things first. On the yearly, this is kind of the point where things are looking bad, right? Everybody's getting scared. I think we are starting to reach potentially max opportunity here, where we form a 1, 2, maybe a third drive lower to take out a bunch of lows here, maybe even that low, I don't know. But the key takeaway here is that we need to be reclaiming that low afterwards, right? This is our last resort, in my opinion, because as I will show you guys later on, it's confluent with the quarterly value as well. But same story. Everybody was getting super bearish here. Do you remember? Then I said, if we're getting an H12 close above previous quarterly value, that's when we can really look for longs and we can target new highs. And, from a lower time frame perspective, it is easy to get lured into, oh no, things are looking really bad. But higher time frame, like, it's not that bad, right? Yes, we're rejecting off the 30-day, we're rejecting off the 90-day, but I'm still giving it a shot that we might be bottoming out here for a reversion higher. So the yearly is retesting the developing year value area high support. And I would argue that the bearish line in the sand is going to be this structure right here, which is a previous high confluent with a standard deviation tree from 2024, right? That's going to be the bearish line in the sand. If we can accept above here, I think a reversion back into 117 is potentially on the cards. Now, that being said, this is what I meant. If I'm going to be putting this on the bigger screen like that, the previous time where Bitcoin was trading towards previous quarterly value high, this is the previous quarter value high. We had the yearly developing value high up here, right? And this is when I said, well, H12 closed like that and I'm long. That's when we got, right? I think from the beginning of this year, right here, right? We were trading upwards. This is when we were failing to hold the previous quarter value high as support. Then I said, it's bearish. I wouldn't be surprised to see a rotation lower into VWAP, potentially even lower like that. But this is bearish. And since then, right, we had bullish shifts right there. Shift, bullish, 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 above, above, above. So this right here, to me, is going to be, the line in the sand, where it's lining up with the developing year value high. We could even do something like this. But as long as it's able to close above that previous quarter value high, I think that's bullish, right? It lines up with the seasons. I will show, at the end of the stream, I will show a chart which, basically shows you how everything is kind of lining up right now for a good trade. But if we sweep the lows and we can close above previous quarter value high, I think that's bullish. And we're going to be going, potentially towards that 116, 117K region. Now, don't get me wrong, if Bitcoin fails to hold this as support and we accept within former range, try to break back above, retest the developing year value on the yearly and reject, I think we're going to go towards, 95-90K region, which is basically the yearly rolling VWAP, the yearly VWAP, previous quarterly VWAP. So this week is kind of, if we're going to be getting more upside, if we're going to be forming a low to position accordingly for quarter 4, I think this needs to be it. Because tomorrow we've got new quarter as well, right? Am I retarded? 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, right? No, I'm retarded. Or am I? I don't know, help me. Yeah, new quarter, right? Bro, I'm so bad. I'm so bad with the quarters. I always mix those two up. So essentially, new previous quarterly value area low, and this is going to be the previous quarter value area high. Oh, we are reaching. No, right? See? But, it's good that we have chat. So October, new quarter starts October. Okay. So it's not only me that's retarded, right? There's more retarded people with us today in the chat. It's good. That's good to know. Doesn't really matter. This is going to be contextual level, and that's going to be contextual level. If we're going to be forming a low, I think it should be within that region. Okay. Now let's quickly move towards the monthly and forget the quarterly because the monthly is getting really interesting here, because one thing that I like to do here is that you can see When we have a daily profile that looks like that, when we've got two overlapping profiles with the value area that's overlapping with the previous day, we merge it together, right? We can do the same thing with VWAP, where in this case, the developing month is almost exactly overlapping with that previous month. So what we then can do is we can add an indicator and we can plot that indicator for since the beginning of, let's just do Monday, July 1st, like that, from the start of July all the way up until where we are currently trading. And we can see that it has been interacting pretty well, right? This developing value. Now, if today closes like that and we're getting a new previous month value area low, let's overlap that with what we currently have. I think this is going to be a huge price point. So, heading into this week, I want to be aware of that monthly composite, which is basically a 2-month value area low. And I want to be aware of that upcoming previous month value low, which is somewhere around here as well. So as long as you're trading below, probably going to be resistance unless we sweep the lows and we can then reclaim it. So important price point going forward. And then we have the weekly. So the weekly had its interaction here with previous week value area low. It was confluent with that 30-day rolling VWAP. Beautiful shorting opportunity. I think this was also lining up with that weekly composite value area low from TPO. Nonetheless, we accepted backward in value, rejected, traversed towards value area low, acceptance below. This was the rejection at the composite value area low, right? Based on TPO, confluent with weekly VWAP, another auction lower, and now we're basically stalling heading into Sunday. So let's wrap everything up. Let's put it on the prep. Longer term VWAPs. We are testing developing year value area high as support. Like that. Basically bullish line in the sand. We have previous year standard deviation 3 confluent with upcoming previous month value area low tomorrow. Bearish line in the sand. Then we have hovering above, we are hovering above previous quarter value area high. Confluent with 7-week naked point of control. And we have 2-month composite value low lining up with previous month val. And we rejected at previous week value low. Developing week VWAP, developing week value area low. All right. Let's quickly take a look at rolling VWAP and then we're summing it all down. So hourly chart. No, let's take a look at the 4-hour reset chart view. Let's get rid of this. Let's add the rolling VWAPs. So this is what I meant at the beginning of the stream, right? Where, we saw that shift below. We had that weekly composite value low somewhere up here. It was confluent with the 30-day rolling VWAP. Now, the thing is, right? You can try and get like a super good entry with, a really tight stop and stuff like that. But if you're not really comfortable in doing the micromanagement stuff like that, what I personally tend to do is I look at the H12 and I'll be like, okay, so this is going to be a level of interest to me, right? What do we have when we're trading here? What do we have towards the left side of the chart? We've got an H12 up close candle. Before we had a shift in structure there when we closed below that low. In my opinion, anything within this block can be considered a potential shorting opportunity, right? Because when we're breaking down from a 5-week composite value area low like that, we shouldn't just treat this. Let's say that this was at 10K, right? Just for the sake of it, 10K or 100K. If we're trading at 101, that doesn't necessarily invalidate the thesis that it's a bearish backside retest, right? So it can do whatever it wants to me up here. And I will have a hard stop above that high and I will see whatever I can do, right? And then I will start to take a look at the lower time frames. But as long as we cannot really close like the higher time frame candles above the 30-day rolling VWAP, it's bearish and we're targeting new lows, okay? So we rejected a 30-day, important. Then we sliced through the 90-day. This is where I said, 1012 112, 112K is the bearish line in the sand. If we cannot accept above, I'm expecting lower prices, right? Potentially 90K, right? Because that's the worst case where we're trading all the way down towards the yearly rolling VWAP. Because look, right? That's bad. But it's also maximum opportunity. Everybody was shitting themselves, right? But this was where you should have been buying. But now that we're trading below, like I think considering that this is kind of going to be lining up with that previous month value. Is it going to be lining up the previous month value low? Yeah. All right. So this is definitely going to be a bearish line in the sand. I think, you know, if we're getting some upside and we're sweeping this low first, I think the target should be within this box right there. If we can flip that, perfect, right? I think at that point we're going to go higher. But until then, bearish line in the sand. So let's write that down. Rolling VWAP. We rejected at, rejected at 30-day, which was confluent with it was confluent with, how many weeks was this? 1, 2, 3, 4, right? 5 week. 116. 116. Let me double check if I'm not talking shit. 116. Yeah, all right. Rejected 30 confluent with 5 week value area low. Then we have acceptance below 90-day rolling VWAP. No, acceptance below 90-day. Confluent with previous year standard deviation 3 and upcoming previous month value low. So this is definitely going to be bearish line in the sand. All right. So let's summarize this. Summary. Simply put, I will put it, you know, out there right here, right now. Bitcoin needs to form a low within this region for a bullish Q4 as a failed retest and acceptance back below previous quarter value high indicates the first genuine shift in condition, right? That's what we covered on the higher time frames since the start of this year, at which I expect it to slowly trade towards the 365, towards, you know, the developing year VWAP and potentially the 365-day VWAP, where in my opinion it's your best bang for your buck to get spot again. To get into spot again. Okay, so that's kind of doom, right? That's you know, it's not fun. But that being said, there is still hope, right? There's still hope. And that's the previous quarter value high. It needs to be a chat here. Confirmation, that's the previous confirmation would be acceptance. I need to take a typing lessons because this is slow. Acceptance back above the upcoming previous month value area low, which happens to be confluent with the previous year standard deviation 3 for more upside. By the way, question. Maybe it improves workflow during the streams. Do you guys prefer me typing this out, or should I type it out before the start of the stream and then read it towards you? Whoops. What will be better? Where I'm like typing it so you can read along, or where I have like stuff pre-written and just read it? For more upside. All right, typing it out. All right. Gives time to. Okay, that's fair. That's fair enough. Okay, good. For more upside. Again, into 117K. All right. Now that bring it, by the way, is that clear so far for everybody? Summary, the longer term VWAPs, how we're breaking it down and why this is basically, you know, the bullish line in the sand here before more upside. I do not have it yet, Abir, but holiday is done. I'll be working on, you know, some good stuff. So I'll be working on, I'm really going to be putting my heart into that. So just bear with me in regards to the time. Okay. So if everything is clear, let's write down the narrative for this week. What's the narrative? Well, heading into this week, my primary levels of interest are the previous quarter value area high and the previous month value area low for potential mean reversion trades, as it's both the bearish and bullish line in the sand going forward. Now, what do I mean by that? Simply put, if this is the chart that I'm working with, save, reset chart view, like that, right here. You can send your work on my Twitter, man. Just send me a DM on Twitter and I'll take a look. But, with me having, like, I don't really have a face on the channel. So thumbnails are, a bit of like, well, you can always send your work if you have like, some cool ideas. I'm always open for improvements. But in terms of trading, we are pinched between H4. Let's get rid of the high volume bar real quick. We have the poor lows here that we, shown on TPO as well. We are hovering. Okay, so keep in mind the dashed line is a poor low. Let's just write that down. Poor lows. So we're pinched between the bearish line in the sand and the bullish line in the sand. We've got a 7-week point of control there. I'm currently not in a trade because today was actually the first day where I'm actually opened up some charts to write down the prep for the stream. But in my honest opinion, heading into next week, I would love to be a buyer. I don't know if we're getting it right, because if Bitcoin is going to be front running my level, like I wouldn't be surprised to see it happening now. But if we're getting like a final drive lower, I don't know how low we're going to go, right? If we're going to be cleaning up the point of control or if it's just going to be a sweep and a reclaim. But if we're getting that reclaim here and it can show me like an H12 close above the previous quarter value high, I am inclined to think that we're going to be forcing out some of these late shorts back into the previous month value area low, right? And at that point, it's going to be really interesting, because if Bitcoin is able to reclaim the previous month value area low, previous standard deviation 3, and at that point, we've got the 90-day rolling view up here as well. If we can reclaim this, I think it's going to be, a big washout higher above these highs, and then potentially even into the 6-week composite value area low, right? So that's the bullish case here for me. The bearish case would be to leave these equal lows and then auction higher, try to break above, and then get slammed back down, basically forming a range like this, right? At that point, I think we're going to go lower again. And this would have this will be my preference, right? Where this is range high, range low, we can just trade the extremes here. If we're failing to accept above this price point, sure, shorting it back towards the lows. If we're failing to break below, sure, I'll buy back towards the highs, right? So if anything, I think we're likely getting capped by these price points. And, from a bullish perspective, the one thing that I do not want to see is multiple higher time frame closes like that. Try to break above, fail to do so, and then accept back below, right? Because that will basically be something like this, where we, let me zoom in. How do we do that? Where this is the previous quarter value high. We then accept below. We have multiple failed attempts above that previous quarter value high. Everybody thinks that this is a bullish consolidation before new highs, and then we're pulling the plug right into previous quarterly VWAP. That would look something like this, where we accept back within, form a range, consolidation. Everybody think this is a consolidation before more upside. Try to break above, reject at the previous quarterly value high, right? Try to break above, reject, right? And then boom, back into previous quarterly VWAP. So that's, this would be really weak in my opinion, and that would make a lot of people mad. So, yeah, I think that's it. Is that clear for everybody? By the way, if you made it this far, leave me a like on the stream. Helps me grow the channel. My goal is still to reach 10k subs at the end of the year. I'm 40 subs away from hitting 6k. So if you're not subscribed to the channel, do me a favor and sub, because it helps me out tremendously. My Twitter username, I don't know, I forgot. I think it's same. No. This is my Twitter username. Like that. Developing quarter view has been phenomenal. Oh, that's great. That's good as well. That's really nice. So this brings me, by the way, to the tweet that I wanted to talk about from Timothy, right? I didn't make this chart. I just find it interesting because it's, this is definitely interesting. So seasonality is a real thing. Bitcoin has followed it for 15 years. The equity markets over 100 years. It repeats and can be difficult word away because things like the tax year, school calendar, and weather, another difficult word, cycles are fixed. So some of these human behaviors, yada, 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 yada. So basically what he's saying is that within the previous years, right, we had August and September, right? Always a bad month for equity and crypto, right? Consolidation, always a bad month. Consolidation, and maybe Q4 is going to be a good year. This is what I think is pretty interesting. It's an interesting chart. I'm not going to be putting my investment thesis purely based on this chart, but it lines up with my thesis that I think we are coming, if not, right, but we're coming pretty close. Like if this is going to be a low, we've got the yearly standard deviation 1, right, value high. We've got previous quarterly value high there. It can do whatever it wants, but as long as we do not accept below here, I think we're closer to a low than towards a high again, right? If that makes sense. So yeah, let me catch up on the chat real quick. We can sure create a 3-day composite from Friday to Sunday, but it's like, I don't really like to include weekends into composites because there's just no volume, right? Pretty non-existent here. So you'll be making a composite with a range of $500, for example, right? That's not really, you can't really use that within your trading. Like if, for example, Monday, wait, let me just make sure that we get that right. Let's say that Monday does this, then we've got Tuesday. At that point, I'm like, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 day composite. We can trade that, right? But right now, it's a bit too soon, in my opinion. Yeah, let me just forward the tweet for you. Let me check it out. Got it here. Here it is, bro. There you go. So basically, all-time high next week at max long right now. I'll reach you. All right, bro. You got that right, Jamo. All right. With that being said, I want to thank everybody for joining the... No, I'm not British, man. I'm not British. I'm from Amsterdam. So, but I think that's a compliment, right? Because I don't really sound Dutch, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, anyways, for TPO, like if you're only using it for Sierra chart, I would suggest you get the Surface Plan 5. Number 5 is more than enough. So composite is there, but due to low volume, yes, that's exactly, yeah, that's my point. So the volume is basically non-existent on during the weekend. So I don't really think that's, you know, that's a good thing. How exotic, right? I know, right? All right, guys. Is the upcoming previous week value low relevant? I mean, let me get this here. I think if we're taking into account where we are trading, like this is the lowest time frame that we have, I would say we're better off. Like if you don't really want to be trading on the lower time frames, I think focusing on the upcoming previous month value area low and the previous quarter value area high will help you avoid taking bad decisions, right? Because these are high time frame plays, and that's where I want to be facilitating trades. Okay. All right. Abir, you know, you can always, you know, make an account. You can make an account on our website and then hit the support ticket that will send you to our Discord so we can have a chat on Discord. All right, appreciate you guys for joining me today within the first stream again. Very excited for the things that I'm working on and what's to come, both Discord and YouTube. And I wish everybody a fantastic Sunday, and I will see you guys next week. And for the guys in Discord, I'll see you guys tomorrow morning. Take care, man. Cheers.